Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram.
Om Tachayora Vrunimahe Gatum Yajnaya Gatum Yajnapataye Daivi Swastirastunah Swastirmanushebhyah Urdvam Jigatu Beshajam Shanno Astu Dvipade Sham Chatushpade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Please, can you read this as well?
Let us together, we together invoke that Supreme Paramatma through our thoughtful right actions and interactions with the world. May you guide us in spite of our shortcomings to Swasti, a state of ease and balance. As we partake the medicine of life experiences, let us be open. May our mind not be a stumbling block. May we learn and grow through all experiences. May you shower your auspiciousness not just on all humans, but all creatures as well. May we transcend all obstacles and attain peace, serenity, and tranquility.
Thank you. Om Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabhumin Vishvato Vrutva Atyatishtat Dashangulam Purusha Evedagam Sarvam Yad Bhutan Yacha Bhavyam Utamrutatvat Seshanaha Yadanne Natirohati Yetavanasya Mahima Ato Jayaguscha Purushaha Padosya Vishwa Bhutani Tripadasyaamrutam Divi Tripadurdhva Udait Purushaha Padosyeha Bhavat Punaha Tato Vishwan Vyakramat Sashananashane Abhi Tasmad Virada Jayata Virajo Adhipurushaha Sajato Atyarichyata Paschad Bhumi Mato Puraha Yat Purushena Havisha Deva Yajnamatanvata Vasanto Asya Sidajyam Grishma Idbha Sharadhavihi Saptasyasan Paridhayaha Trisap Tassamidha krutaha deva yajnantanvanaha abadhan purusham pashum. So far, we have seen that this one Purusha, that supreme consciousness, Brahman, who's all-pervading, has become all the faces that we see everywhere, the thousands and thousands, countless. Legs, eyes, essentially all sense organs, all organs of action. Everything of this creation is that Purusha, yet it is only a fragment of the essence of that Purusha. There's so much more that is beyond even, our comprehension, or beyond even availability. Not only that, nothing has happened to it. It's untouched by anything. So what was in the past, what is currently here, what will come in the future, everything has come from one source alone. And in that, most importantly, we have to understand that essence of that is me also. Never forget that. Never forget it. So PurushaSuktam gives us this beautiful vision of oneness, as well as an understanding to accept all differences with that vision. And so what we did was we looked at what will happen if we keep thinking about it, reflecting about it, and understanding that everything has come from one source. If that understanding becomes my wisdom, one way I will express it everywhere is through compassion. Compassion for myself, making sure that I take good care of myself so that I could be an invaluable instrument in this world. And then not only that, compassion towards others as well, accepting that like everybody wants to be happy in this universe, just like me. And therefore, so much of understanding comes with that. Now, how did the process of creation begin? We know, we've sort of looked at it. We said it was if you look at it in the Vedantic manner, they say it is the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas of the Maya Shakti which started manifesting. And you look in the world, there are things which are of noble, peaceful, knowledge type of qualities anywhere in this universe. If you look at, there's a lot of energy and activity, which is the Rajasic aspect. You also see a lot of tamas, which is inert things everywhere as well. Inert matter, energy, together with the consciousness principle, exists here as everything. So whether you want to talk about Big Bang and say, there's expansion, matter and energy has come into being, we say, yes, we have no disagreement. But along with that, we also, the Vedic rishis have said that there is consciousness and intelligent principle behind this entire creation. So when the creation began, it is as though now it is all dramatized in PurushaSuktam. That's what we first have to understand. They say that initially came all the forces of nature, obviously, right? It'll be water, it'll be earth, matter, it'll be, air, as well as space, as well as fire. All of these were there. And they had presiding deities, as though the ones which maintained the laws in which they behaved, right? These devatas, what did they do? They wanted to further the creation. But how do you further creation? They said, let's do a ritual, a karma, a yajna. That's how they started. And where would they get material from? If there's only one source, they themselves have come from that one source. They have to use the material from that one source also. Now, imagine there was no life form, no plants, nothing at that time. So all they could have was the variation in the seasons. So in the mind, they did a worship. So they did a karma as though, sitting and offering and everything. But everything that they used was from the at that point, whatever was there in the creation. So it was only the seasons, it is said, and the seasons were the fuel, the seasons were the offerings, the seasons was the ghee and everything they did. That's all that was available, right? They offered it. And then who do they have to finally sacrifice? You should have a Purnahuti at the end of every yajna. And at that time, who else was there except that Purusha? So, meaning that Supreme Purusha himself became everything, including the Devatas. That if we can understand that there was only one thing and everything is a consequence of that one Purusha become manifesting as everything. To do that, you right away understand the Purusha could not just stay as he was or it was or whatever. It had to sacrifice what it was to become something else, right? So most important we studied was this yajna spirit, which is the sacrifice and service that this Purusha had to do to bring creation into existence. So now what happens? You can look at this yajna in three ways. One is just as a ritual. Okay, there was a karma which was done. Or mentally just thinking, we offer everything that belonged to you to you. That's what the Devatas did. Meaning, Tera tujko arpan kya lage mera was their feeling when they offered, because they wanted creation to proceed. Or what happened in their knowledge and understanding, they said that Purusha and that essence in me is not different. So they were totally, that one with that supreme truth as they meditated further to further the creation. Okay, this is all just dramatization. Now, in that we saw that this act of yajna, right, that was happening. The Purusha himself has set an example for all of us to follow. And also not only that, you'll see through nature, a constant example. so that we actually can keep on reminding ourselves that we also should live with the spirit of sacrifice and service to all around us. So this is the two main messages that we have: understanding the vision of who this Purusha is, understanding that the sacrifice that the Purusha is doing in service of everything. And to us then, two important points to reflect, to see how we can bring that into life is compassion and this sacrifice and service. Now, more in this session, what is happening is we're going to see more elaboration of this yajna. Okay, how this yajna furthered, and then what came out of that as a result of doing that sacrifice and service, what happened in this creation, the srishti part of it is coming. We'll see that all the wealth, and please remember, in the Vedic times, the wealth was the cows, which then gave ghee and, which then, milk and then curds and ghee and everything was truly the wealth. Because if you had that, everybody could, be fed and well fed. And also, there could be a transference of, money and things like that, or wealth. And so that in the Vedic times, that cow was regarded as wealth. And not only that, the wealth is also the plants and animals and everything. So when you see this type of language, understand the same thing is happening in a different way right now. For us, the wealth, initially it looks like money, but what can you get out of that money, right? That is what is important, huh? That money, when it moves, what is really considered as wealth? And then, of course, these basic things of plants, animals, and the wealth from things like a cow were the ones which were considered as wealth in the Vedic system initially. And afterwards, different types of things came. So we're going to see the wealth that was created from this, process. And also we're going to start the Varna system, or as it's currently called as the caste system, which also here in PurushaSuktam, an ancient hymn from the Vedas, is telling us that the Purusha himself was conceived as the four main parts of this human division in this society. Okay, so this is all what we're going to see. And along with that, I have you will see that a manual was given to us to live. So, when you buy any product, right, what you see with that is an instruction manual, how to use it. And when you open it, there'll be so many things, the parts of that, how to assemble it, how to use it properly, how to connect it properly, how to charge things properly. And if you don't do, what's going to happen? So that all those instructions are given to us so that we can maximize the use of the product. And when we are born on this earth, we think, what manual? Who gave us manual for life? But actually, at the beginning of creation itself, Bhagavan had revealed, or this Purusha had revealed, the Vedas. So we're going to see that as a manual for daily living too, which was already given. So everything was thought of. Everything was thought of for our harmonious existence. In the PurushaSuktam, you're seeing a dramatization, as though, this is all happening, and just think of it as making it sort of a nice drama for us to understand. All these were put in place for us to live here on this earth. Okay. Who's going to repeat after me? Please unmute yourself. Tam yajnam barhishi prokshan.
Tam yajnam barhishi prokshan.
Purusham jatamagratah.
Purusham jatamagratah.
Tena deva ayajanta.
Tena deva ayajanta.
Tena deva ayajanta.
Tena deva ayajanta.
Sadhya rushayaschaye.
Sadhya rushayaschaye.
So what happened? After, this is all they do in yajnas, okay? And that is the dramatization, a ritual. So when that happened, that agrata jatam yajna purusham, that Purusha, who was the firstborn, meaning he was there and then became this Virat, right? But what did they do with him? They wanted to continue that creation. And in the yajna, what they do, they place this sacrificial animal or, whatever they have for ahuti on the kusha grass. You've seen that kusha grass, those darba grasses that the priests use, the long dried grass. So they put that, and on that they kept this, as though kept this Purusha himself, and they said, you are sacrificed now. And they did prokshanam on this, just put water on that to say you're sanctified, you're now, going to be sacrificed so that we can further our creation. And this was done all by the devatas and the rishis, meaning, the initial, whoever came into being. So this is, again, I told you, remember, it can be a karma, a ritual, or mentally, it is just a thought that we are offering everything so that more things can happen. Or it can be, there is no difference between you and me. You are the one who's bringing everything. So attitude of gratitude, and that happens. So even, every Hindu action that we follow, like a ritual or something, always has a 3 level of understanding. Now, for example, when we do our pujas, right? It could be a simple act of puja, like the 16 steps that you follow, one after another, right? If that's one aspect of it. But the second aspect of it is every act that we do has some symbolism behind it, right? For example, the last part, let's just take the last part. When you do an arti, you show the flame, and the arti plate with the flame. You put it around this Lord 3 times, and then you bring it to people. And what will they do? They'll place their hands on the flame and touch it to their eyes. That is got a symbolism. Initially, it's just arti. I'm doing arti for Bhagwan at level of, the transactional and understanding. But when you go into the meaning, what it means is, with that light, you had just seen Bhagwan, right? The arti lamp was shown to Bhagwan and then brought to you. And what do? Placing that hand over that, and you put it on your eyes, means that vision with which I saw Bhagwan just now, may that stay with me always. So that when I come out and transact in this world, that vision, let it be that reminder. I just saw Bhagwan with this lamp. May that vision be with me as I transact in this world. So that's another level of understanding. And then at the deepest level of understanding, that there is no division between you and me. That light which is there in Bhagwan and the light which is in me, Bhagwan, is one and the same. So that is the deepest spiritual meaning. At some point, it'll be very beautiful to see the symbolism of a puja, because that's what we see when we go to temples and everything, or if you're familiar with Shodashopachara puja. And the symbolism as well as the spiritual meaning is being very beautifully expounded by Adi Shankaracharya ji in a text called Nirguna Manasa Puja. So that'll be something. But anyway, everything is at 3 levels. So even this action, as though, or mentally feeling that deep, that I'm giving it back to you, or understanding this oneness between me and you, Bhagwan. I alone actually am the creator of everything, meaning my essence, is another understanding. So now let's see what all started coming out of this great worship and sacrifice that these, initial devatas did. What all came. Tasmad yajnat sarvahutaha.
Tasmad yajnat sarvahutaha.
Sambhrutam prushadajyam.
Sambhritam prashadajyam.
Pashugastagas-chakre vayavyan.
Pashugastagrachakre vayavyan.
Aranyan gramyaschaye.
Aranyan gramaschaye.
Aranyan gramyaschaye. Yeah. So from that Sarvahuta Yajna, when you say Sarvahuta, means everything was offered to that, right? Including that creator. In the mentally, please, creator, continue this creation. It's you alone who's become everything. It's you alone who can become everything. That is the attitude, okay? When you offer it, Sambrutam, what came into existence from that came Prushadajyam, curds mixed with ghee, meaning the best of creation. Remember, again and again, if there were cows, they were regarded as wealth. It is regarded as wealth in those days. So the best of creation came into existence. Curds and ghee and all the wealth. Or you can say it means wealth. Okay, now what would the wealth be? Pashugaschage, meaning all the animals, okay, came into being. Vayavyan means all creatures of air, the birds, okay, so all animals, all birds came. And what type of animals? Aranyan Gramyaschaye, all the wild animals who live in the forest as well as domesticated animals came into being. When they did this sacrifice, first, and you see, all those are needed for our existence. The wealth is needed in the form of minerals and plants and everything, and also animals too, because they are the ones who will help to feed us, help us to, make us grow, everything, and also increase our in wealth as well, whatever we want to use in this world. So that is the first thing that came. Pashugas Chagas Chakre Vayavyan. And you see, beautifully, it is the Purusha alone, from that Purusham, that Pashu Purusha, sacrifice Purusha alone, everything is coming. So, and if you, one creator is the one who has to do the maximum sacrifice. Now, if you think about it, right, say somebody is doing a 9-to-5 job, then says, enough of this. I don't want to go to that office and keep doing the same work. Let me start my own business. Now you see what happens to that person. They have to sacrifice a lot of time, family time, their own, personal pursuits and everything. They sometimes even have to put their own money, right? And so you can see that energy, time, wealth, everything is sacrificed so that greater good can happen even for them. All of us are doing it. But this is a dramatization as to how creation came, right? So everything has to be sacrificed, whether it's at our level or, at a higher level. So offering ourselves, great things can happen. This is a message here. Now, so if you look at the national level, people have sacrificed so much for things to materialize. For the democracy of a country, how many freedom fighters fought and sacrificed. So this no creation is possible without sacrifice. So this is the main thing, that message is being given. And as I said, when you look at a seed sown in the ground, a seed form has to be sacrificed if it has to become a plant. A cloud has to sacrifice being a cloud if rain has to come to the earth. Okay, so everything we see, there is sacrifice, sacrifice, service, sacrifice, service. The Purusha set the first example. So we have to be taught to be selfless. Humans are the only ones who really have to be told, please be selfless, please sacrifice, please help. Otherwise, everything in nature is beautifully going on in perfect harmony because they behave. The clouds know that they have to drop water. The sun knows to give heat and light. It's such a, nature is made that way. Nature is made that way. So if we can just for a moment stop, pause, remind ourselves, where am I right now? How am I here right now? And if we just think of so many people who made an influence and who helped us to be where we are, we feel so filled with gratitude and also humility as well. In fact, we do a little exercise for our children sometimes in Bal Vihar. What we do is, everybody loves pizza. And then so we just say, okay, who loves pizza? And they all say, yes, yes, we all love it. And we say, let's see what all went into making this pizza. And of course, immediately it's like cheese and tomato and flour and all that type of stuff. But then we make them think where each thing came from. And when they understand, finally, it had to be somebody higher in intelligence that had to put everything in place, suddenly you feel so grateful for even that slice of pizza that you're eating. So a sense of gratitude should fill in our heart, and also know that we also have to play a part. This is the sacrifice and service that we are being asked to. And that means whatever we have, including this physical body, should be used for the service of the Lord. That becomes a worship. We should not destroy things for our own pleasure, comfort. So anyway, example here is Devas worshipping the Lord with whatever was available, with whatever we have, physical, material wealth. Let us see how best we can use it in the service of all. It can be initially just our family, making sure the children get a good education, making sure that they can stand on their feet, all these type of things. Then expand the vision, include more and more. This is the way we should try to live. Okay. All right, now let's see further what else came. Now that Purusha is giving us a manual for living on this earth. Okay. Tasmad yajnat sarvahutaha.
तस्माद् यज्ञात् सर्वभूतः
Ruchasamani jagnire.
रुचः सम्मानि जज्जिरे
Chandagumsi
छन्दागंसि
jagnire tasmad.
जग्भिरे तस्मात्
Yajustasmad
यजुस्तस्मात्
ajayata.
अजायत.
So what else came when this happened, when the creation process started? From that Sarvahuta Yajna, Tasmad Yajna Sarvahuta, from that Yajna where everything was offered, all the Rig Vedas came, Richa came, Samani came, the Samaveda came, Chandamsi, the meter in which it was sung was came. And even Yajurveda came. All these came. Please understand, even Atharva Veda, okay? Now, what we should take from this is that Vedas are beginningless. They have been, because this is, it's a manual how to live here, so that we live in harmony as well as progress on our path as humans to our ultimate goal. Live here. How do I live here? In peace, maintaining focus and, purity of mind, meaning quietude of mind, and then contributing to the welfare of all around us. And then by this, I will actually slowly get to know my true nature, and that's the purpose of my living here. And the Vedas have everything for that. We might say, excuse me, never set an eye on the Vedas. Okay, I have no clue where the Vedas are. Don't worry. You've all studied it already in the Gita. Gita is just the essence of the Upanishads and the Vedas. So, we have it. Ramayana, we all know it. It's a dramatization of Veda. Mahabharata, all the messages are given right there. If you've studied Bhagavatam, all these are Vedas only, just in a story form, all these things, so that we, or people, great Rama or Krishna living that, so that we can understand by example and follow. So Vedas were given as a revelation to Rishis. So Rishis sat, meditated, they clear mind, they got all these beautiful intuitions. And those intuitions, they never claimed it as theirs. We do say that Isaac Newton discovered the law of gravity, but law of gravity was there before. We never say Isaac Newton invented it. We say he discovered it, right? Just like that, Vedas were discoveries of these rishis in the seat of meditation. And there are two important things which come in the Vedas. One is dharma, or a path for us to follow, righteousness, and Brahma, the supreme goal. I have to identify myself finally. Hey, the essence in me and that essence with this one who started everything is one and the same. That is the thing that we have to finally understand. Okay, so both are given in the Vedas. And it is given so that we can think, reflect, live that life. Live that life. Now, Okay. Now, the Rig Veda, further elaboration. Rig Veda means richate, to praise. What is said in the Rig Veda? There's so many mantras in that. And all those mantras, if you follow those, if the rituals in that, if you follow those rituals, what's going to happen? It is said, we will become prosperous in this world. And of course, there's Upanishads included in the Rig Veda as well, which will help us to attain moksha. Samaveda mantras are very beautiful, very musical. And by singing those, our mind becomes very quiet. By doing the rituals of the Rig Veda, mind becomes very purified. With the singing of the Samaveda, it becomes more focused and concentrated. And Yajurveda mantras are also used to perform the rituals. And the Atharva Veda, beautiful, means, Atharva means no trembling, meaning fearless. Now, it said, if you keep chanting these mantras, we become fearless. All fears go away from our hearts. Again, bottom line is, when we move more and more towards our own understanding of who I am, then we realize everything is the same. Then what happens? There is no fear of another. That's the bottom line. So the mantras of all four Vedas, which were given, help us to purify our minds, help us develop focus and concentration. We get an idea of all these nature of the devatas, how to invoke their blessings, and then gain the ultimate knowledge as well. So all these things are given in the four Vedas. So that's something that we can reflect on, because we would not have heard of this before, right? This type of an explanation of the Vedas. Vedas are a manual for us, but that also came from the beginning of creation for us. That's the important thing we have to remember. Now comes the question. Oh, sorry, this is further elaboration of what else came a little bit. Okay. Tasmadashva ajayanta.
Tasmadashva ajayanta.
Ye kecho.
Ye kecho.
Ubhayadataha.
Ubhayadataha.
Gavo hajagnire.
Gavo hajagnire.
Tasmat.
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 Jata ajavayaha.
Jata aja.
Vayaha.
Vayaha.
So again, there's more elaboration, nothing, everything came from it is the bottom line. He says, from that Sarvahuta Yajna came all the horses. Then there came all creatures with 2 rows of teeth. Then came all the cows, as well as the goat and the sheep. Everything came from that Supreme Purusha. Now, I forgot to mention, in this... I'm studying this Upanishad called the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. This is huge, okay? And when you say, how do these mantras, help us to become pure, or what does it do? I'll just give an example of that very beautiful study. In the beginning part of it, they say that our speech, our eyes, our hearing, all these were like, they call them devatas. Devatas. What did they do? They wanted to do the highest, praise and worship. But when they were trying to do the highest praise and worship, again, drama, all the demons came and attacked them. And then it's like a virus infecting them. I'm just so enamored by the way it's been dramatized. And when they were infected, the speech could not do that supreme praise. The ears could not do that supreme, praise. Eyes could not do that. Why? What do you mean by that? It means our speech is so sometimes involved in gossip and wrong words and criticizing. That is the infected virus there. The ears always wanting to hear something, not nice, not so nice. And the eyes, looking at only bad things in others and things like that. Those are the viruses. So what they could not really do the highest thing, And now you see the benefits of a pranayama explained in such a nice way. Finally, what did they all do? They said, please, prana, can you help us? The prana devata cannot be infected by virus. It can really cause trouble to others. So this prana devata, as though even the virus, the asuras, they say, came to attack it, it remained untouched. In fact, the asuras were helpless. So the more, and you see now, the more you do things like pranayam, the mind becomes very quiet. When the mind is quiet, we can make decisions about what we speak, what we hear, what we see. So everything is a dramatization. Just to drive home the point and to make it look like, oh, I might want to try it or something like that. And when you get hooked on it, we are the ones who get benefit from that. So it is shown that all these mantras will help us, but the way, or the pranayam practice will help us, but it's again a dramatization. So that's what you see in the other Upanishads. But anyway, so much of the creation has started to expand. Everything, the wealth has come, animals, plant kingdom, and now the even all the wealth like minerals, everything was put in place. And now see what happened. How did this Purusha look to these people who are meditating? Aha, comes the thing which causes so much problems in our society. Yet Purusham Vyadaduhu
Yat Purusham Vyadaduhu
Katitha Vyakalpayan
Katita Vyakalpayan
Mukham Kimasya
Mukham Kimasya
Kaubahu
Kaubahu
Kavurupada Vuchyete
Kavurupada Uchyete
Pada Vuchyete.
Pada Uchyete.
So yet Purusham Vyadaduhu. The rishis and all these people, other great devatas who were praying to him, this Purusha, how did they think of him? What did they imagine him to be? Because if we truly look at that original Purusha, formless, nameless, attributeless, then became everything. Now this Virat Purusha, they're imagining, right? How did they imagine? Katidabhya Kalpayan, how did they think of this? And like all of us, we put a form. We are so used to a Krishna looking like a Krishna with his flute in his hand, or a Ganesha with an elephant face, and we give a form so that we can connect. So they said, how did his face look like? Huh? How was his arm? How were his thighs? How were his feet? What were they all like? Aha, comes now. Let us see what they said. Brahmanosya
Brahmanosya
Mukhamasit
Mukamasit
Bahurajanya
Bahurajanya
Krutaha
Krutaha
Uru Tadasya
Uru Tadasya
Yad Vaishyaha
Yadvaishyaha
Padbhyagum
Padbyagum
Shudro
Shudro
Ajayataha.
Ajayataha.
So when they thought of Paramatma, they said, that face is out of a Brahmana. His arms are the Kshatriyas. His thighs are the Vaishyas. The Shudras are his feet. Okay. Thinkers, administrators and kings, various members of the business community, and the workers, this formed the Purusha. Now, don't you need all of it to be one Purusha? And did everything was that Purusha? Of course, everything is a Purusha. Everything is only one thing. Bottom line, everything is one. But of course, we are focused on dividing and dividing and dividing. But anyway, that's human tendency, very controversial topic from time immemorial, and has become very corrupt, very problematic, very problematic. Now let's go visit Bhagavad Gita too. You all have, if you remember, we did this extensively, but it's good to always remind ourselves, refresh ourselves, and see what it means. So remember these two shlokas from the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, when Bhagavan gives an reason for his avatars. Why does Bhagavan take birth on this earth? Why does Bhagavan incarnate, not reincarnation, incarnate on this earth? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirbhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkrutam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge, said Bhagavan. He said to come back for Dharma samstapana, I come to protect the good, to destroy the evil, but dharma samstapana arthaya. And then very soon after that, Bhagavan in the 13th shloka says, Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashaha. Bhagavan says at the beginning of the creation itself, this division was there. It's created as the creation happens. So you can call it, they are called varnas in our scriptures, but now popularly called as caste, causing a lot of problem. Or you can call it groups, where Bhagavan's own creation, they were based on two things. Guna, meaning their attitude, and karma means their actions. So when you look at creation, the first thing that we see is there are variety of things that we see. Even just you look around in your own room or just outside your window. How many different types of plants and, objects and things. Everywhere there's manyness and variety. Innumerable number of varieties and, manyness here. And so there's no, whether it's the botanical world or the zoological world or the mineral world, we see different things. And it is very common to see, hey, these all have the same qualities, characteristics. They belong to this genus, they belong to this species, or they belong to this, whatever in chemistry and physics that you do. Everywhere there is that grouping so that, you can understand something common, understand their behavior, and then use them appropriately, right? This is there. It is not anything which is unusual, but it's there in the world because of the manyness and variety. So when you look at humans, we are also different, we have different skills, different, aptitudes, different way we can, use it and work and live in this world. So first is, there's an observation. An important thing to know is that attitude as well as the skills that we have, we already have it inherent in us. Bhagavan just said, all of you with different attitudes, you please work together because each one of you is important. That was the initial thing. So not created by Bhagavan, like you become a Brahmana, no. He says, you're this skill, you use it. So you are called so. So this is how the original thing came. So this is, if you study humans anywhere in the world, not just a Hindu society which has caused so much corruption. Go see anywhere in the world. This exists everywhere. So based on that, the classification, there were 4 types. And you see, all of us are humans, no question asked. We all agree. So we are all equal in that sense, absolutely. And if you say, excuse me, also all of us have the capacity to do something, none of us is useless. Agreed. You're equal in that too. That we all can do something. Yes, agreed. But can we all do everything the same way? Can we all do everything? First of all, absolutely not. Your skill might not be my skill. What you're good at, I'm not good at it. What somebody might have a great, talent for, I might not have it. So in that sense, we're not equal. People have different talents, different potentials, different abilities. That does not make us superior or inferior. Just because I can't sing in tune doesn't make me inferior to somebody. No, not at all. Just because I don't have that capacity to memorize, I'm not inferior to anyone. I have other talents, other things. So all of us are humans. We are all capable. We're equal in that sense, but everyone cannot do everything. This always will remain differences in our abilities to do different things. That is nothing to do with superior or inferior. Now, when we see this, when we understand this, you can see when Bhagavan Krishna says, based on guna and karma, that the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras we created, we see that in our daily life too. Even the simplest task at home involves all of us to think a little. Use our, Brahmana brain or whatever, thinking capacity. Then what do we have to do? We have to plan. We have to see how we can administer it and make it happen. So we use a Kshatriya brain. And then we definitely need resources. So we do our, Vaishya part of the karma we do. And legwork, please, we do it as well. So we do the Shudra karma. What is superior and inferior in this? Right at home, we are doing all these 4 things. Why do we have to feel like one is better than the other? And, why do we do this? So Brahmana is thinking and planning, Kshatriya is implementation, Vaishya is involving resource management, and Shudra is hard work, okay? It extends to everything. You look at bigger projects. There's somebody who does a big, huge building has to be constructed. Architect will sit down, draw all the things, has a vision of how it will look, present it to us. Then you want somebody to give money to help that project, the Vaishyas will come. Then there had to be somebody who says, okay, this plan will be executed. I'll hire these contractors. So these contractors become the Kshatriyas. And then finally, we have people who do the hard manual work. Everything is needed in whether construction of the building or running a democracy or any other type of nation. This organization is needed so that work can happen. Different people of different, abilities are needed. Okay. All right. Now, and you can also see, for example, I start off as a, person working in the bottom rung of a company. Okay. And I've been observing. And I get very interested and I want to see how I can, become an employee who can actually contribute to the work of that, not employee, so become the employer of that company. So slowly I develop the skills, and within no time, I myself have started a company and I am employing people. So now I'm the generator of the, wealth. So I become a Vaishya at this point. I was a hardworking laborer. Now I became a Vaishya. And then what happens? Instead of being just a passive observer, right? I decide to run for a local election as well, because I think I have enough support from my people. People have seen my work. I've brought wealth to a community. I become a politician. And so I become a Kshatriya there. And then what happens after some time, because of my experience and all these people start coming to me for advice, I become the think tank as well. So a same person can go through all these karmas and go to whatever they want to. That is not the question at all. Karmas cannot make us superior or inferior. And we'll talk some more about this. Second comes the attitude, which actually makes an action superior or inferior. Okay, selfless activity. I might be a butcher working in a butcher shop, but I constantly think I'm serving somebody, and through that I'm worshiping God. That is the most important sattvic bhava. I might be doing what looks like a tamasic activity, but my mind is filled with sattvic bhava. Sattvic bhava. Or else it can be a little bit of, yes, selfless, but a little bit of what will I get? So that's a little bit of rajasic there. And the other people, yes, I'll do it for you, but what is there in it for me? Okay, I want to know that right now. So it becomes a little bit tamasic. And then there are others who don't care. What is it there for me in that selfish attitude? That makes it a superior, inferior activity. I might be the greatest thinker, Brahmana, but always looking for praise and getting mad at people and looking, for remuneration and things for my thing. It might be a Brahmana in my work, but doesn't make me, actually makes me very inferior as far as the attitude is concerned. So inferiority, superiority comes in the attitude we have in any action that we do, right? If we all understand each one of us has a different ability, we have to do different karmas, but let there be oneness. We're all working towards the same goal, making things run smoothly. This is a worship of Bhagwan. Worship of Bhagwan. And the highest and the best attitude would be a selfless attitude. So this, if we do, Bhagwan says, I don't have to come. Dharma samstapana happens automatically then. And that's why I brought people, knowing that everybody has different abilities, please work together in harmony in society. Now, the last part of that is, we always hear, oh yeah, let's just finish this too. The idea that we can all be equal is a very strange thing. We say we're equal and capable, but we all agree, I can't do everything. How can you be equal then? How can you be equal to everybody? I cannot probably sing, I cannot probably dance, I cannot probably do some, incredible research into space and things like that. No, that's not me. But so what? So what? So, and then also remembering, at some point we do all those karmas as well. Whether it's at home or sometimes even in society, we do that. So beautifully, Chanakya, it is said, yo yasmin karmani kushalaha tena tasmin yoktavyam. Do that karma which you're good for you, in which you're skilled, where your aptitude, your passion lies, and you'll flourish and, thrive and contribute. So mantra has to be understood properly. It is actually a holistic vision. This whole thing is a holistic vision. So looking at the Mukham, give a holistic vision. As Bahu, we have to get things done. As Uru, thighs, which are very strong and supportive, you need that financial support. And as feet, you need to do the hard work. Leg work is what we say. Hard work. And we should also not look down just because it is said feet. I love it whenever Swamiji would say, Shirasana is good in yoga, but not to walk around. I obviously not. All of us stand on our feet. Can you imagine without our feet? What is the question? Do you look at your feet and say, oh, you're so inferior when you look at your body? How ridiculous. We actually, take good care of it, and that's good. And not only that, we bow down to the feet of people. We do Pada Puja because they represent ideals on which people stand. Feet represents the ideals that people stand for. It's a representation for. So we actually regard it as sacred. So, everything is sacred. Everything is divine. It's come from that one source. There's nothing unholy or inferior. We Hindus first should understand this Varna system properly and understand it exists everywhere. It is not just that Brahmanas, thinkers exist in India and not in the Western society or in African nations. Everywhere there are thinkers and visionaries. Everywhere there are administrators. Everywhere there are people who create wealth. Everywhere there are people who do hard work. People moving from hard work to being think tanks also happens. Why do we take the whole blame? And also not that we just have disintegrated it so much and caused so much problems. First and foremost, remember, it started also at home. We can blame anybody, but our people have done enough damage. Our own people have done enough damage. That's why people are able to capitalize on it and then cause more problems. So we When we study, be very clear about this. The Purusha is one Purusha, one source. What are we talking about? Superior or inferior? Okay, so every system, Chaturvarnya system, is managing a society for its prosperity. No question of superior or inferior. And then, finally, Varna actually means texture, quality. Every person has a different character and quality. It is already there. Nobody's creating it. Bhagwan created this so that we can work together to bring out our best and also maintain the prosperity of the society. And with the right attitude, whatever we do, whatever work we do, even what looks like, as I told you, a butcher's job, we are all that Brahmanas in that thinking. Okay. So in this session, the Devatas who continued the yajna, we saw that, how they continued it, what their mental attitude was, and when they did so, what came out of that process of creation. So Srishti. So we've seen Purusha, we've seen yajna, we've seen the third topic now, that is the Srishti. Not only did Bhagwan create the wealth in the form of minerals, plants, and animals, he also created, or Purusha also created, and gave us a manual for our living so that we could live in harmony, and at the same time put in place a system so that we could work together for everybody's prosperity. Understanding that this exists everywhere, people of this attitude as well as aptitude exist everywhere. He said, please work together, and because you are the ones who are so-called the crown of creation. If you can work together, everything else can be taken care of afterwards. And it is important that each one, no matter which role we are placed in, we should actually do our very best to uphold this dharma. Om Tachayora Gatum Yajnaya Gatum Yajnapataye Daivi Swastirastunaha Swastir Manushebhyaha Urdhvam Jigatu Bheshajam Shan